Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7. Live on hot7025fm.com.
What's up, jokers and laugh therapy listeners? What's up, Hot 702.5 FM? I hope everybody is having a dope Thursday. And y'all already know what time it is. It is time for your favorite comedian to host her favorite radio show, or your favorite radio show now, too. It's time for Laugh Therapy, guys. We told you guys last week we were going to continue the conversation on self-healing, and we are going to do just that. We do have some more questions that we had, and then some that we have had with others since we had that conversation last week. Other people kind of just sparked more conversation and made us kind of dive a little bit more deeper into the thoughts that we were having on healing. So I'm really excited to dive into that a little bit deeper and a little bit more with you guys. Thank you for holding us in that. We definitely had our own emotional things that we were bringing to the forefront. And granted, we have started those healing processes so it's easier to talk about them now. However, choosing to listen, choosing to stand with us while we were working through those things, we definitely appreciate you guys. And of course, to go into this beautiful subject, I have my beautiful co-host with me.
JD, a.k.a. Sunshine.
A.k.a. Baby Love. Nah, I'm just kidding. Don't call her that, y'all. I joked, and then my crazy came straight to the forefront. My temple, as soon as I said it, I was like, nah, don't get tackled out here. Don't do it to yourselves. You done caught me on a bad day.
Yeah, I can just imagine someone walking up to us and going, "Hey, baby love."
Mink, mink, and you a fan, and I be done fucked up, so don't do that. I'm sorry. People like,
I liked y'all
right,
last week.
my damn mug shot on TV again. Goddamn. I ain't know. Shit. Anyway,
oh, goodness.
We are diving into healing today, and hopefully we'll have more laughing moments throughout this. But I just feel like this conversation is so necessary, and it's healing just talking about the processes of healing. And my personal goal is that someone who is going through a season right now where they're trying to figure out how to heal, or that someone who is not going through a season because you chose to move on instead of heal, learns some new techniques and possibly, grows through this. So I'm excited. Super excited. You ready to get started?
Yeah.
Let's get healing.
All right. So how can the storytelling or narrative therapy aid in the healing process for individuals who have experienced trauma?
I'll say that there's I don't feel like there's a right or a wrong. Let's state that before we go. I don't feel like there are right or wrong answers to these, and I am not a doctor, so I won't pretend to be able to prescribe or to be one. But for me personally, storytelling or telling the story of my trauma helped take the power away from it for me. It helped take the power away from it for me. So when you hold things close to chest for a long period of time, when you finally do feel like talking about it, usually everyone's already moved on, one. And you kind of just feel like nobody cares anymore. Like, what's the point of bringing it up? And then people will try to use that as a reason for you to not bring it up anymore as well. So it's almost like shaming you for bringing the truth to the forefront. And that hurts on a different level because it's like you were afraid to come forward, so you didn't come forward. And then now that you are coming forward, what you were afraid of happening is literally happening because they're basically telling you they don't care anymore. Like, you should have told me then, right? So I feel like storytelling or holding the truth as quickly as possible for me was beneficial because it started that process, and then it was just the process of holding them accountable for the fact that you hurt me, or holding you accountable for the fact that you allowed somebody to hurt me when I was a child, or something like that, instead of just springing the information that I was hurt 5 years, 10 years, whatever ago on my parents, and then expecting them to have... Like they now have to grieve that too, right? You just shattered their world. You just completely, if you hide it, if you hide the narrative, if you don't come forward with a narrative, well, now everybody's got to grieve, right? Everybody's got to heal. This is new to everybody, and everybody's going to respond to it differently. You're going to have people who are angry. You're going to have people who are in denial. You're going to have people who are scared to come forward because whatever happened to you may have happened to them too. You're going to have people who are heartbroken and who are blaming themselves and who have unriddled guilt, and everybody's going through a different process in that healing, but I think doing it sooner rather than waiting, for me, I think that it was healing, because the only thing after that, once everybody started the grieving process, the only thing I had to worry about was holding people accountable. It was, about it now what are we going to do about it? Now I can judge. And I'm a better judge than I am a victim.
It's funny because me and Ryan were talking about something today, and we said you would be a great judge.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a better judge than I am a victim because I'm very fair. I can be fair. But I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you to what you said. I'm going to hold you to what you did. I'm going to demand that something be done about it. We're not just going to sweep this under the rug, which is why I like to address stuff head on when it comes to things like that. So that's how I think storytelling can help the person in trauma. It keeps people from being able to lie about it. It keeps people from being able to continue doing whatever it is that they did to you, to other people, or running with some other narrative somewhere else. No, the truth is known. We already talked about it. We already put it out here that this is what happened. Now what are you going to do about it? That's how it was helpful for me. What about you?
I think there are steps to healing, right?
Right.
And not everybody's steps look the same. They're not all in the same order. And I think storytelling is a part of a lot of people's steps to healing. So I can't speak for anyone else but me. It's actually, now that I have decided to deal with my trauma, I think storytelling is like step one for me, in all honesty, because I just put it back here. And now I have to tell the story.
But when you push it back like that, and this may not work for you, because tell me if this is my neurodivergence or not. When you push a story to the back of your head and then you go to retell that story, do you have to relive it
yes.
too? Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't know if that was a neurodivergent thing or if that was like everybody does that. But when I push something so far back into my subconscious, in order for me to know what's true, it's almost like I have to go back there. Like I have to relive it. And if you feel there, like you're an adult, but you're watching it happen again, and that doesn't feel good, or like you're feeling it happen again, and that doesn't feel good. However, to remember what's true and not what I told myself to survive, or what I told someone else to romanticize or to soften that blow. Now, in order to tell the story, I have to relive it and know what's true again. And that is reopening a whole entire different wound, which is why, again, I second what I will repeat, that telling the story sooner is better.
So you said a key word there when you just spoke, trying to survive. Mm-hmm. So in certain people's situation, like I said, I can't speak for all people, but for me in particular, to survive, I had to put it back here. Mm-hmm. That wasn't something that could be put on my plate, my proverbial plate, mm-hmm. let's say, because I was in survival mode. So That's something I couldn't handle, so I had to put it back here. But now, in the first steps of the healing journey, you have to storytell and you have to open up the wound because it's festered and it's infected at this point, and you got to open it up. You got to cut it open to begin the healing process, and you have to relive it when you're telling it. I won't say you have to. That's the wrong word choice. You do relive it when you tell the story. Now, and I'll use words from my cousin, Nashi. When you continue to tell the story, the wound is starting to heal, so it doesn't hurt
the power from it.
as much each time you tell it. And then you can take, like you said, take the power back, and now you own the power of your story. That's how you can get people who are speakers that were survivors of sex trafficking and now they're advocates, right? Is because they've told their story over and over and over. And like I said in my letter that I wrote, if I help just one person, that's all that matters at that point.
Right.
So I think it should be a part of the healing process, the steps in the healing process, but that's not everybody's story. Everybody doesn't. I think it takes a certain amount of strength as well to tell that story.
In your healing journey right now, what are you looking most forward to? What are you looking most forward to?
To see who I am on the other side of this.
Without the trauma, well, not necessarily without the trauma, but without the current trauma responses that you have?
The trauma responses, the burden of the trauma just being there. I want to have full brain capacity. I want to be able to remember shit. Like,
lighter, yeah.
I want my memories back. I lost a lot of memories. I want all that back.
Yeah, well, sorry, y'all. We told y'all that there may be some waterworks with this as we're working through this. I think I had a wonderful conversation with my brother the other day just about parenting. My son frustrated the shit out of me. Well, actually, he hurt my feelings. He didn't frustrate me.
Oh, yeah.
He hurt my feelings
hurt
real
your
bad.
Feelings real bad.
He did. He hurt my heart real bad. With my neurodivergence, guys, I find safety in the truth. I find safety in people who can be honest with me. And I started to, I didn't even realize that I started to equate them as like synonymous. Like truth and safety were synonymous for me. If you were honest with me, it meant that I could be honest with you. If you were honest with your feelings, I could be honest with mine, and I didn't have to have this guard up all the time, which I feel that I've had to my entire life being autistic, right? Or being neurodivergent, being different than everybody else. So being honest with me was very important to me, and I've driven it into my kids. Like, don't lie to me at any point in time. Don't lie to me, because I want to be able to always have your back. Mommy wants to be able to always protect you, always, if anybody tells me anything about my children, just tell me. Like, if you did it, tell me. Are there going to be consequences? Possibly, but at least I can have your back, right? And he stole some money off of my dresser, and when I was little, I felt like most of my lives was because I was scared. I was afraid I was going to get ass whooping. I don't feel like that's a fear my sons have to have. They don't get whoopings like that. So I didn't feel he needed to lie to me. It wasn't the stealing that hurt my feelings as much. The stealing triggered her. But I stole as a kid. So the stealing didn't bother me as much. Everybody wants money. I understood the logic behind seeing free money and wanting money. What hurt my feelings was that he didn't feel that he could trust me enough to tell me that he took it. And he lied straight to my face, like multiple times. He even helped me look for it.
Yeah, it was
my
bad.
My baby helped me look for it.
It was bad.
Y'all, that hurt my heart so bad. I'm about to cry now. That hurt my heart so bad. And I talked to my brother and ended up having a healing session right there, just talking to him, because we have amazing elders in our family who come together. And when we need something, talk about a praying family, honey. And I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't believe in structured religion. But when I tell them to pray, Baby, they call all the ancestors. They call everybody up there. They know everybody on the main line, okay? So when I was talking to my brother, he was talking to me about a conversation he had with our Aunt Carmen. And it was about parenting. And basically she said, we have a cousin who is transgender, and she was talking about her parental journey with that and understanding that process, because as a parent, you still grieve the loss of your
And
child.
Carmen was on here and talked about it.
Yeah, you still grieve the loss of your child. You understand that your child is still alive, but they are this person now, and you still have to grieve the death of the person that they were before, right? So one of the things that she had to realize was that it's not about her, and that her child has not lived the same experience that she has. And that hit so hard, because in that moment when I was talking to my brother and telling him about all the things and the reasons that I lied as a kid and how I've worked so hard to protect them from the things that I felt I should have been protected from as a child, I've been protecting them from experiences they don't know they're being protected from. Therefore, it affects their ability to be grateful for it, because they didn't know that there was a danger over there. They didn't know that there was something over there. They don't know what it is to be poor. My kids don't know what it is to be broke. They don't understand that. It doesn't mean that we've never been broke. That does not mean that we have never been poor. It means that even in my brokest and in my poorest, they still had everything that they needed and most of what they wanted. Only person who knew my bank account was in a negative was me. Okay?
In the bank.
In the bank. In the collections. Okay? They couldn't read the eviction notices, okay? So they don't know that experience, and I've been working so hard to keep them from experiencing certain traumas that I had as a child. And in trying to protect them from those, I'm giving them different ones. I'm giving them different complexes because they don't understand, right? And my feelings were hurt, feeling that he lied to me because he couldn't trust me. And the alternative of that is he's got pride just like his mom does. I'm his first love. And when I asked him that, he knew I'd be disappointed, and he didn't want to disappoint me. So he chose to not be the person who would steal my money in that moment. He didn't want me to see him as the kid that would do that. So he just said he wasn't. He wasn't the kid that did it. He just fucking lied. It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with his trust for me. It had nothing to do with fear of a whooping. It had everything to do with fear of my thought of him. And I didn't even take the time to think about that. But sometimes taking the time to sit back and go through the story and have those healing sessions and just walking through your emotions, because I was ready to pull out belts. I was like, fuck gentle parenting. He doesn't respect me. He doesn't like I was emotional. She had to hold me for a second. I was really emotional about it. Yeah, my feelings were hurt. And I think that when it comes to, we've already said this, healing is not linear. Mm-hmm. There are going to be droves and valleys and mountains and all kinds of peaks in your healing journey. But I wanted to share that story with you guys because I feel like there's a parent somewhere on here who may be going through something with their kid where you're like, I did everything for you. And in reality, I just want to pose the question, did you do everything for them, or did you do everything for the child in you? Because I've realized that I've been protecting my child from the things that my inner child went through. And my child don't know none of that story. That's not his narrative. That's not the book he's in. None of that. He doesn't know any of those things. But I've been protecting Jordan in the face of Legacy and Legend and Piglet, and trying to keep them from the dangers Jordan endured. And they've got completely different things that they have to face today. So I just wanted to, something on my heart told me y'all needed to hear that story.
That's definitely what they say, though. You parent yourself as a kid.
Yeah.
You are parenting yourself. Ayana and Keely and Shaky been chiming in. Yeah, we got some prayer. We got some prayer warriors.
Prayer warriors, you hear me?
Yeah, you heard it to Toledo on the way over here.
The Bible said, I saw a lot. We've been on the phone for a while. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah. Kids, Ayana, you are right. Kids won't understand until they get older, unless they have to grow up before they should have to. And our kids are nowhere near that. They are kids. We were just saying that the other day.
And I love it. I love that they just have a childhood. Kids. They just have a childhood. They don't know much about too much responsibility right now. They just kids.
None.
They just kids. What was the question? Oh, can embracing vulnerability lead to greater mental health resilience? Can embracing vulnerability lead to greater mental health resilience? I think vulnerability almost always leads to greater health resilience because you're putting yourself out there. If you're being vulnerable, you are exposed.
I was just about to say, I think it's a sign of strength.
Yeah, if you're
That's
being
not how
vulnerable,
we were taught, though.
Right? If you're being vulnerable, you are exposed. Therefore, you are continuing. You have no choice but to be resilient because you're gonna run into something, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's a good and a bad thing if I'm being honest. Because yes, although it speaks to your confidence and your strength, it can also put you in positions to be hurt consistently if you are not also using your discernment for when and where to be vulnerable. So if you're just walking out here exposed and vulnerable, I don't think that you're going to be very resilient. Eventually, you're going to find what ends you, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's smart.
But if you are using your discernment and your instinct as well as embracing vulnerability in the right moments, I do think that leads to greater mental health resilience, and it teaches you just how strong you are. I feel like everybody goes through something in their life that if they wouldn't have gone through it, if someone else would tell the story, you would be like, oh my God, like I don't think I could survive that. But you did. You're here. You made it. Every day you still draw breath. You still wake up. So yeah, I do. What about you?
I mean, I completely agree. And you have to reprogram yourself in a certain way. Because in our community, the Black community, I can't speak for any other community, but being vulnerable is looked at as being emotional. Oh, that nigga emotional. He act like a female.
Or negative.
Yeah.
Depends on the generation you're speaking to. Ours is, you always bringing me, you always emotional. You always like toughen up was our thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this new generation, it's you're a negative Nelly when you're bringing up your emotions or you're this or I'm not responsible for your healing. I'm not responsible for your drama. And like, bitch, but you kind of are. Fuck you mean. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you just got to reprogram your way of thinking. If you think being vulnerable is a weakness, it's not. Like she was saying, you have to have discernment. You can't just out here be out here spilling your feelings to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But being vulnerable to the people that you love, or if you are trying to help others, vulnerability is necessary. And it definitely helps with your strength because you gain the power back if it's something that you had lost in the situation, especially if you felt helpless. Yes. How do childhood experiences influence our mental health as adults, and how can we address and heal from past traumas?
Well, I think all childhood experiences, whether negative or positive, influence us as adults because it's still who we are. Just because we got older and got bigger doesn't mean that we... Adult just speaks to how long we've been here. It does not speak to our maturity in any other aspect, mental, emotional, any other aspect. And I feel like, repeat the question, babe.
How do childhood experiences influence our mental health as adults, and how can we address and heal from our past traumas?
Yeah, I feel like we're all still big kids. We are all still that same fiery kid that I was as a kid. She's still in here. She been through some shit, but she's still in here. I have to talk to her every now and then. I feel like our childhood experiences teach us how to love and what love looks like coming back to us. And I feel like we spend a lot of our adulthood looking for the type of love that we either received or were looking for as a kid. I think as far as healing from them, I will always be an advocate for honesty, man. I know that being vulnerable and telling somebody what they did or what you did or, vice versa can be difficult, but I am an advocate for just putting it out there, because what is the worst thing that could happen? I feel like especially if it's like a family trauma and you're like, oh, I don't want the whole family to be upset. Like, I just want to keep the peace. Bitch, you are not at peace.
At all. So you rather let everybody else have peace and you going through mental warfare in your head.
That's my thing. I'm like, you are not at peace. You over here crying yourself to sleep. You drinking all the time. You doing whatever it is, whatever vice it is that you created.
Depressed.
Yeah. Or you're not able to embrace your family the way you want to and hug them and love them the way that you want to, because you still holding on to the fact that I know this person is trifling. So I feel like those childhood experiences are so important, because you feel like you have less of a voice as a kid. You feel like you have less of a voice. And then when you start coming into your voice as an adult, you never go back and say the things that your inner child should have said or wanted to say. You've just let it go because it's been so long. But she still has shit to say. That inner child still has a lot of shit to say. And I remember as I started aging and I just started blurting stuff out, my family thought I was fucking crazy. My mom would just be like, I don't know why she, like, you know how Jordan is. And it just became a thing in my family where it became you just know how Jordan is type of conversation. Well, she gonna do what she want to do. Jordan's just gonna do what she want. And it wasn't that. It was just my inner child was like, nah, I've been quiet for about 17 years and somebody go fucking listen to me. I think my inner child just got tired, honestly, because if I would have waited the way that a lot of my friends have waited, because they're in their 30s, and I have friends who are in their 40s and whatnot, and who are just now starting to have some of these conversations with their family members about some of the traumas that they experienced in their youth and in their early adulthood and things of that nature. And I'm like, baby, because I stressed Nicole and DeWan the fuck out from about 14 to about a smooth 26. I let them have it. Everything that came to my mind that I felt needed to be said, I was saying it.
It's so crazy. I think the universal powers at B are telling me that it's okay. It's okay. Because I think the next step in my journey is rage. I'm going to be honest with you.
Do what you got to do, love.
The inner child in me has so much yelling and cussing and stuff that she wants to do. I think that's what's next.
I think you're going to have to let it... don't apologize. I think you're going to have to let it go. And thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
letting me know so that I can be prepared. And I ain't done nothing, so I know that it won't be toward me. But to look for the sharpness or to look for those signs, it's helpful to communicate to the people that love you. Like, hey, so for the next 3 weeks or so, I'm going to be doing some shadow work and some deep... I might be batshit crazy. Like, I'm going to just let it be known. So that we can prepare ourselves.
Yeah, I feel it. I think I've been trying to hold it back, but I think it's coming.
I think that's just gonna make it worse. Trying to hold it back. Hulk out, girl. Do what you got to do.
Because
and it was tough. I know that it was tough on the people who loved me when I finally started coming into my healing journey, because I was just depressed for a long period of time and hiding it. And then when I finally started coming out of it and speaking that truth, it was like a bomb went off in my family. But the way that my family went, it's almost like it imploded instead of exploded. Like, I thought I was going to explode, and instead I did. I exploded, and instead my entire family just surrounded me. They just like took the flames, and everybody just kind of wrapped around me and was like, we don't, okay, we're sorry, we don't know.
My bad.
Hold on. Hold on. Like, this is kind of what it was, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm hoping the same happens for you, because you have a really large family too, and y'all are pretty close, or were pretty close. I hope that the same happens for you, and they just really rally around you and each other, and y'all just really support each other, because me and my family, y'all can't tell me shit about my family now. Baby, like 5-6 years ago, it probably would have been a couple cousins, a couple ways for you to drive a bridge between me and my parents, a couple ways for me to still think that there was a way for me to cut my parents off, Baby, now I cut you behind my peoples. So
straight up, I'll still cut you behind my people. Even though I got rage. So All of my people, I'm calling y'all in right now.
Tap in.
Jessica raging out today. You might want to check on her.
How can we foster a culture of empathy and understanding to support those who are struggling with mental health issues, in your opinion?
If you don't have a natural empathetic gene, I would say it's difficult because you have to care, and that takes effort. And I think as long as we are giving effort, then that's the first step in helping people that are trying to heal from something, or have mental health issues and they're trying to heal from it. I think they just want to know people care at the end of the day. So you might not have the words, you might not know what to do, but as long as you make the effort and show that you're making the effort to the person or people or whomever, I think that's where it begins and that's where it starts. And it'll mean much more than you'll ever know to whoever the person is. I think that's where it starts. I can't give you exact directions and steps because you can't implant empathy into everyone. I think if you're not an empath, only certain people can be empathetic if they've went through the situation or someone close to them has been through the situation to have empathy. And some of those people still don't even have empathy, but
they could have sympathy.
Yeah. And there is a difference between sympathy and empathy. But just having effort and showing you care is where to start with anyone that's trying to heal from something or having mental health issues. Just check in, bro. It's real simple. Just check in.
I agree with that. I thought of this question differently as far as how can we foster a culture of empathy and understanding. In my mind, I was thinking of how to, like, what are the issues with people being empathetic or understanding, and usually it's people who are trying to make you feel shame for what it is because they don't want to deal with the emotions and what the outlash that comes from it. And for me, like, I'm very anti-bully, but in those situations, I have a tendency to kind of reverse bully. Because I feel like they're bullying whoever the victim is. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just call that out. And I feel like the more that people start calling that out, the less people will start trying to bully victims. If somebody's trying to make it seem like it's not that big of a deal or something like that, I'll point out that, well, clearly it's a big deal to her, and I didn't mind her sharing her story. And then it makes that person look like a fucking asshole.
I think we need to do a show on triggers, too.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we're going to put that on the slate.
Yeah. So I have a tendency, because I guess because I am a protector that way, I have a tendency to do shit like that. Like if I see somebody trying to belittle a situation or belittle someone and demean a situation or make something seem like it wasn't that big or make somebody seem like, you're emotional or blah, 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 I'm one of the first ones to be like, not having emotions ain't a fucking flex.
Yeah.
You know? Don't nobody want to cuddle with a cardboard box? Fucking weirdo. You know? So I guess that's how I have tried to foster and make sure that people know that it's going to be a safe space. If I'm here, it's going to be a safe space for you to speak your mind. Like, we're not doing that.
I think we need to make that a tagline. Not having emotions isn't a fucking flex.
Yeah, being emotionless. I can put that on a t-shirt, sell it on my page. Y'all visit kingmecomedy.com.
Shameless
Get y'all some
plug.
t-shirts.
Shameless plug.
Get y'all some t-shirts. Man, I think it's your question.
All right. What does it mean to truly know thyself in the context of healing?
To know yourself in the context of healing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess if you don't know yourself, how do you know that you're healing? If you don't know what ails you, what hurts you, what the problem was, what the root cause of it is, you can't be healing. And I mean, I have plenty of stories of how I found out that I thought that I had healed past something and a trigger came up and I was like, ooh.
Well, I might not be over that.
Right. I probably shouldn't want to stab you right now. I probably, if I healed, I probably shouldn't want to. I'm going to call my therapist.
Dr. D.
Right, Dr. D. Let me holler at you.
Real quick, like.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would say. How do you know if you don't know yourself? Then you don't know what's hurting, and you don't know how to fix it. You don't know how to fix it. I would say it's very important to know yourself in order to start healing. I think in the process of moving forward, as far as healing goes, being able to recognize your responses, I think that's. I'm trying to figure out how to word that without having to tell another story, but I can give an example. Like in our relationship, right? If we have a disagreement, it took us a while to figure out that you're the one who likes to unpack everything and talk emotions, whereas I'm the one who compartmentalizes and completely removes emotion from the situation and wants to talk logic. Because I'm like, I just need you to know why this makes sense. That's what matters to me. I need you to know that I was right. Because this makes sense. And from her point of view, it wasn't about a right or a wrong. It was about, did you consider me? Did you think about me or how it could inconvenience me? Did you think about, this? It's not necessarily that what you did was wrong. You're an adult. You have the right to do what it is that you did. You have the freedom to do what it is that you did. But when you did it, you didn't think, that's probably going to put her in a position, or that's probably going, and having conversations like that was helpful in my healing because I didn't realize that my need to be right stemmed from the many times as a child that I felt I was right, but my voice wasn't heard. So now as an adult, when I'm talking to someone and I know for a fact that I'm right, baby, I'm driving it the fuck home that I am right. This conversation can be over as long as you understand that I'm right at the end of it. And as soon as I know that I have established that I'm right, I'm done talking. I don't care about the emotional part of it. I don't care about but you hurt my feelings, but I was right. Okay, like at the end of the day, that's where I'm at. And it took me a while to realize, she knows that. She never called me wrong. She's simply stating that your rightness hurt my fucking feelings, right? Like while you was over there doing what you did, I was over here with my feelings hurt. And all she needed was me to acknowledge that her feelings were hurt. But in my head, acknowledging that meant that I was wrong. Your feelings are hurt because I was wrong, and that's not right. So it took us.
Man, so that's why you started saying, I did not think about that, baby. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And then you took that as me writing off your emotions because you know how important it is to me to be right, for me to be right. So me just saying, okay, like, I'm sorry, baby. You were like, what the fuck? Like, what's the catch? Like, I feel like you just don't want to hear me. You don't want to hear me talking. And I was like, I'm not cutting you off. You're right. I didn't consider your feelings. And I can say that. I didn't consider your feelings. I simply moved forward with this. And you're right. I didn't think about that. I'm sorry. And it took me 32 goddamn years to get to a point where I realized the apology wasn't to shut her up. The apology really was because I understood where she was coming from. But a year ago, that apology was to shut you the fuck up. I was done. I'm right. And I don't care about the rest of it. All that emotional shit you're talking about, I don't get it.
But that's where our heads butted, is because you want to be right. Mm-hmm. I just want to be understood. I don't care if you think I'm right, wrong, upside down, green, purple, whatever. I just want to be understood.
And where I was coming from was I understood you, but from my understanding, you still wrong. So I was just trying to, I was like, I get that you're emotional, and I understand what you're saying. I can even empathize with you playing, but you wrong. And that's where I was coming from. And she was like, no. It's not a right or wrong. And I was like, but I'm right.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not a right or wrong, but I'm right. So, yeah, it took us a while. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to healing my inner child, that was one of the things that helped me be able to see from that point of view. I was like, oh, baby, I think you just want to be heard. Like, I realized for myself that I just wanted to be heard. And I also realized that when she was saying those things, she just wanted to be heard. She's like, you didn't think of, expressing her emotions, and I couldn't gather that. So that's how I think that those two things tie together.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, we took y'all down relationship lane. For me, knowing myself, I think so along my life, I have been bits and pieces of myself, but to know myself wholly, I think I'm going to have to go through the healing process to remember it all, who I am, because I've lost so much of myself in the whole traumatic, stuff that I've been through. I've lost bits and pieces of myself here and there. And knowing myself is going to be probably the best part. Because it's been a while that I felt fully myself. So I think that's very important, guys.
We're going to have so much joy learning you together, love. This version of you together. How does self-compassion contribute to the healing process for survival? I don't know. I don't want to do that question. Can revisiting past traumatic experience in therapy lead to healing, or does it risk re-traumatization, in your opinion?
It does both. Well, like I said, when I'm speaking, I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for me. For me, it does both. When you revisit it, it's like you're there in the scene. So, when you're watching a movie and somebody's reliving their past and they're sitting there watching whatever is happening to them in real time, that's how it feels. When you are revisiting past traumatic experiences. And I think that's why it's important to continue to tell it, or the storytelling portion of it, because you can slowly start to fade away out of that picture of you sitting in the middle of that trauma, the more power you take from it each time you tell it. And I think that's very important. So yes, the first time first, second, third, fourth, 57, 1100 times you tell it, it might hurt just like it happened yesterday. But the power will slowly you will start to regain the power slowly each time you do it. So I think it's important, because it'll give you your power back to retell each time. What about you? It's 4:44.
Okay. Hey, 4:44. I guess I agree with you. I do agree that it can be re-traumatizing for some people. For me, it was helpful because, for starters, I just have a dope-ass therapist. But I knew that it was judgment-free, and I knew you just have to find a therapist that you see yourself in. Because my therapist was gangsta. I loved my therapist. She tried to be super sweet and nice and professional at the very beginning of our session, and I was not trusting. I was not fucking with it, and it was ordered for me to go to therapy. So I was sitting in there like, I don't want to be here type shit. And she could pick up on that energy. And usually people, they're like, oh, they try to weigh you down. But Dr. D is from Haiti. And she wasn't playing with me. She was not fucking playing with me. She wasn't about to sugarcoat nothing. She wasn't about to, oh, baby. I think she could just tell, like, in my demeanor and everything about me, that she was going to have to meet me where I was at. And she got to speaking, I don't know if they speak patois there or what they speak in Haiti, but she got to speak in broken English real fast and at me, and was basically telling me to fix my attitude. And I don't know. Like in that moment, I was like, ooh.
She had to get you together.
Yeah, I was like, did she just, ooh. And we both, I think, in that moment, she also noticed that she had kind of gotten through to me. We both cracked up and laughing and whatnot, and I kind of snapped on her a little bit. But, you know, just being my goofy but still, like, checking her kind of way where I was snapping back at her or whatever. I was like, first of all, what you not finna do is, you know, kind of shit. And we kind of bantered for a little bit. And then from there, that she was like my bestie friend. I wanted to talk to her every day. So I think you just need to find a therapist that you can really relate to and that makes you feel comfortable to tell your story and not someone that you are going to continue telling the same story that you've been telling yourself. Yeah.
Say that again. Say that again.
I think you need to find a therapist that you will feel comfortable telling the truth to and telling your story to, and not just someone that you'll feel comfortable telling the same story that you've been telling yourself. Because if you've pushed something into your subconscious, like I said, I almost have to relive it to make sure that what I'm remembering is the truth. So if you have pushed something into your subconscious and you've started telling yourself something else to make yourself be able to function every day and make yourself be able to live your life the way that you've been living it and be able to survive, then when you go to tell that story, you're telling that story through who you are right now, who has built that whole romanticized survival story, or you're only telling this bit of it. In order to really heal, you've got to get to the meat of that situation, the gristle, the detail, the part that really hurt you to your core. What is the part that actually violated my person, my entire identity? What is the part that violated my DNA that is embedded in me that is hurt? And once you get to that, that's when it's healing. It hurts like a motherfucker to break yourself down to that point. But it's so satisfying to look at that from the other side and be like, damn, if I would have just done this 10 years ago, if I'd have just done this 15 years ago, like it had me under its thumb for this long, when in reality, I could have been defeated this if I would have just faced it head on. It's just as scared of you as you were of it. Face it head on. And I'm so glad that I did. I found a really good therapist that helped me do just that. Also diagnosed me with bipolar disorder, which was very important. However, she was able to help me with identifying some of my characteristics and then getting to the meat and gristle of what hurt me so that I could get rid of that and get back to the core of who I am without that weighing on my shoulders.
I think a part of it also is being able to sit with yourself. Mm-hmm. I think people who can't be alone and sit with their thoughts, they are running from what's back here. And even us being in a relationship, and we be at the house a lot of the times because I work from home, you a comedian, you work at night. Mm-hmm. We still have a lot of alone time.
Yes.
In those times. And it's necessary because I have to sit with my thoughts. Mm-hmm. Now I have to talk to myself. Mm-hmm. I had to see who the fuck I am. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, mama. I know you listening. I'm okay. But I think that's a major part of it.
And it's so healing to talk to yourself. I just want everybody to normalize it because I've been called weird all my life. But talking to yourself is really helpful.
You're not weird. It's when you had the conversation out loud.
I mean, I be needing to talk to the inner me sometimes.
Well, yeah. Tell me you talking to yourself because I think I'd be missing bits and pieces of conversation. Huh? What'd you say?
I think they did too. I think a lot of my friends when we were kids would just turn and be like, who are you talking to?
Because you be acting like you Jamaican because that's what Jamaicans do. Jamaicans will walk around the house talking to themselves out loud.
I do. I will walk through whole scenarios in my head. I will as an actual conversation with myself, and everybody else thinks that is weird, and I think that everybody else should do it.
It's not weird. You just gotta warn us. I'm about to just talk to myself real quick.
Yeah, I'd be like, I ain't talking to you. Like, mind your business. We having a conversation over here. I'm not schizophrenic. Anyway.
It's the out loud part because I think we all talk to ourselves,
and
right?
And that still reminds me of that time I couldn't hear my inner voice and freaked out on you and you didn't understand what I was saying. That's why we shouldn't take mushrooms together. I don't know how to explain it to other people. My brother got it, but I don't know how to explain it to other people.
Yeah, he understood you immediately.
He was like,
and I was
he was like, that's terrifying. I was like, exactly. But apparently, I don't know if everybody knows this, but apparently only 20% of us can actually hear our voice in our heads. Like, so if you read a book in your mind, whose voice do you hear the book in? And I did not know that most neurotypical people don't hear a voice. You're narrating, you're just seeing the words and you're registering the words because that's how y'all read books, and that's weird as fuck to me.
Oh, not everybody hears something?
No, not everybody hears something. Some people just read words and just understand the words and boop, that's reading. I'm like, no, there's a narrator. Like, if you don't hear your voice, you hear your mom's, your grandma, somebody's reading this book to you in your head. And no, apparently most people don't.
I can make anybody read to me.
Exactly. But apparently most people don't actually like hear the
y'all
voices
tap in
your
the
head.
comments and please make us feel
tell
normal.
Us. Because when I found that out, it was a therapist, it was a doctor that actually told me that. They were like, most neurotypical people don't like audialize or whatever the word is that he said, but y'all don't actually turn words that you see into sounds in your head, and that's weird as fuck to me.
I didn't know that's what you were saying. I heard you say that before, but I didn't know that's what you were saying.
I was like, I can hear myself in my head when I'm talking to myself or when I'm thinking. I can hear my thoughts. And when we took those mushrooms that day, I could not hear my thoughts. It was just regular. It was quiet in my head, and that freaked me the fuck out. I was like, I'm always talking up here. There's always somebody with me up here. And
because I just see you mumbling, and I'm like, oh, that's somebody else.
I'm always talking to myself, and she went radio silent. I freaked smooth the fuck out. I was like, hello, I can't hear myself. And she was like, I can hear you. No, don't help me.
What I thought you meant was like your ears weren't working, like so you couldn't hear yourself talk. I didn't know your inner voice was gone.
No, yes, that's what I was trying to explain to you. It's like my inside, I can't hear myself inside. Yeah.
Y'all,
I can't hear myself inside. I was freaking out.
It wasn't good at all.
She kept trying to reassure me by telling me she can hear me. I was like, I don't give a fuck. That is not what I need right now. I don't care that you can hear me. I can't hear me.
And I was like, but you're speaking.
Baby, the panic, the miscommunication was so bad on them mushrooms. So we had a good time. But my inside went silent for about 15 minutes, and I was ready to fuck shit up because I was like, is she gonna come back? Like, I was like, I don't want to be regular. That's so weird. I don't want to be regular. So, anywho, you guys, like we said, comment and let us know if you actually hear your thoughts.
Like when you're reading.
Is it audible? Can you hear?
Like I can make Angela Bassett read to me if I want.
In your head. If you have a voice in your head that is like not prominent, what's it called? Like nostalgic, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's just kind of stored in there. You can hear the thoughts. Like you're actually talking to them. And I think that is weird that the majority of people can't do that. I feel like there are a bunch of people in their cars or at home listening to this right now asking their roommates and their husbands and shit, can you hear voices? When you read, who's reading to you?
Jessica said Angela Bassett can read to her.
But that's wild. Sorry, guys.
I think we got time for one more question. We got 2 minutes left. How does self-compassion contribute to the healing process for survivors of trauma?
Oh, it's so important because a lot of times we blame ourselves. A lot of times we blame ourselves for something that happened to us. Why didn't we protect ourselves? Why didn't we say something sooner? Why didn't we scream? Why didn't we, whatever it is, why didn't we make a better decision? Why didn't we there was an opportunity to do this? It's all these different things, different scenarios and what ifs. And self-compassion is so important because everybody needs grace, and you have to give yourself grace, one, but also recognizing that you are a victim in this situation, or you were a victim, or I don't like using the word victim. You are a survivor of said situation, right? And giving yourself that grace and forgiveness is so necessary and so important to your healing process. What about you?
I totally agree, giving yourself grace. And I think everything happens on a timeline it's supposed to. So I recently got asked a lot of questions like that. And I'm just like, I'm not you. You're not me. So you can't dictate how I should have handled any situation. And I think shame and guilt come with a lot of traumas that happen to us, regardless of what it is. And if you are holding shame and guilt, you have to forgive yourself for that, because it'll just continue and it'll just snowball. So forgive yourself first, and then you can choose who you want to forgive after that.
I said that last time. I was like, first I had to forgive myself, the version of myself that allowed it to happen. But we hope you guys, once again, love this topic of laugh therapy. That does wrap up our time. We hope you guys tune in next Thursday at 4 p.m. Catch up with us. Next week, I don't think we'll be going into healing again next week, but y'all know we're going to have a lit subject, and it's going to be a lit good goddamn time. So remember, you can follow me at King Me Comedy on all social media platforms. Tell them where to find you, babe.
JSD Sunshine 4.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.